During the 20th century, communism began to spread like a virus throughout Asia. One specific infection consists of China, with their leader, Mao Zedong, during the mid-1900s. Mao Zedong was a passionate and ruthless leader that rose to power in China in 1949. Due to his ruthless nature, he decided that he must rid China of those holding it back from revolution. To deal with this problem, Mao Zedong began the Cultural Revolution in 1966, which lasted until his death in 1976. Mao was very adamant about changing China from its traditional state and making it into a modern state. While Mao used such methods as politics to incite his Cultural Revolution, his methods of using the Red Guard, propaganda, and purges allowed him to create his Cultural Revolution, resulting in a violent and oppressive period in Chinese history.
One of the first political actions that Mao Zedong used to incite his Cultural Revolution started in February 1966. Mao, at a Politburo meeting, removed the last member of the five-man group and instituted his own Cultural Revolution group. This not only removed opposition from the Politburo, but also allowed Mao Zedong to gain more political power within the Politburo. Then in May 1966, Mao presented his political agenda in front of the Politburo, trying to mobilize the Politburo into endorsing his agenda. And in August 1966, the Central Committee passed a verdict on his Cultural Revolution, defining the different 16 points, which spread the revolution from the student movement form it previously had to a nationwide campaign. And according to Chinese historian Robert Goldston, these policies unified China under Mao Zedong's control and ultimately gave Mao the power to incite the Cultural Revolution. So, one of Mao Zedong's first political actions that he used was Mao Zedong, went in front of the Politburo, and he pretty much had these five guys right here. They wrote a book about him. It was bad. It was called The Outline. It was against Mao, and Mao doesn't like that, you know. And if you know my man Mao, like I know my man Mao, you know he doesn't take kindly to that. So he pretty much gave him a first-class ticket right out of the Politburo. Then he went again in front of the Politburo, and then he's like, my agenda is the best agenda. And they're like, yeah, it is. And so they agreed with it. Then the Central Committee made 16 points. That's 16, one above 15. So they made 16 points that defined the Cultural Revolution and spread it from not only the Red Guard and the student movement to a nationwide movement. Mom? Yeah, Mom? Now's not a good time. I'm busy with my friends. What do you mean, what friends? I have friends!
The Red Guards were started as a group of young students who wanted to spread the grand teachings of Mao Zedong. As the students got more vocal, Mao himself organized the group into a paramilitary organization they would use as his weapon to destroy the old civilization. Mao, the grand strategist, ordered a massive assault on the institutions built by 18 years of communist rule, and on the intellectual and social remains of the past. Their assault troops were the Red Guards. Their objective, the four olds: old habits, manners, customs, and culture. In sum, the entire extent of Chinese civilization. To achieve this grand goal, the Red Guards would break their enemy's resistance by frontal assault. The young soldiers, both male and female, would use any means necessary to carry out whatever objective was given them. Mao knew that he could use these fanatical adolescents to eliminate anybody who he deemed as a hindrance to the Cultural Revolution. Mao's ruthless use of the Red Guards against his people led to the brutal killings of almost 2,000 people in Beijing alone.
Today we're going to talk about Mao's Red Guard.
You're not British.
I don't care.
You're not smart.
Shut up. Mao's Red Guard was a group of adolescent children whom Mao used to control the Chinese government. And the Red Guard was known for its ruthless killing ability. Mao used the Red Guard against anybody and everybody in China who opposed his political views. Mao himself said that political power comes from the barrel of a gun.
When talking about how Mao incited the Cultural Revolution, one must consider propaganda. Through propaganda, Mao got the citizens to believe a wide variety of things, which is basically brainwashing. His most important piece was the Little Red Book. This little book was mandatory for all citizens to own, and not owning it could lead to serious punishment. This isn't the only mandatory action, though. He made them wear uniforms to show equality and to have a picture of him in the house. Mao also incentivized the workers through propaganda and overall fear through work camps. One of Mao's commonly slammed ideas was capitalism. He hated it with a passion. Also, at age 72, he swam across the Yangtze River, which may or may not have happened due to several different accounts. Finally, he spread propaganda through every medium at the time to make a better China.
Propaganda. Oh! It's all that it is, man. It's all that it is. You are a 72-year-old man named Mao. You are from China. You are the Emperor of China. No, wait. No, you're not, because he overthrew it. Guess what? You swim across the Yangtze River? Long hair, don't care. It's making me sweat and curdle because of propaganda. Guys, welcome to the Splash Zone. We're getting intense, all right? Everything you see here, propaganda. No matter what, just think propaganda. This, right here, propaganda. You want some more? Yeah? Propaganda. See this guy? See you later. Yeah. Oh, stingy. Everything is propaganda. Everything is Mao. And that's how you use propaganda.
As Mao continued his policies to create his ideal cultural state, he used many violent tactics to change China. Throughout the Cultural Revolution, he incited many purges of the CCP and the Chinese people that he said were holding back the revolution of the proletariat, but in reality were just people who opposed or who were suspected of opposing Mao and his rule. A large portion of Mao's main attack was focused on the idea of revisionism. Revisionism was, in an essence, a departure from traditional communism by being less strict and less violent. Mao took this idea of revisionism and turned it into anything that he does not agree with and does not agree with his ideology. In April of 1966, at the very beginning of his Cultural Revolution, he stated that the Chinese government had become polluted with revisionism. He commenced a purge of the CCP, which resulted in removing or demoting any and all opposers to him and his rule, which lasted until that summer. This was later extended by the CCP's policy of cleansing class ranks in 1968, when they would eradicate any and all citizens of China that were potential enemies of the CCP. PLA squadrons were sent to replace Red Guards for this task, and they were sent to, and I quote, eradicate once and for all signs of capitalism. In reality, this resulted in the catastrophic slaughtering of citizens all throughout China and Mongolia, resulting in the deaths of thousands. During Mao's cleansing of the government and taking out anybody who could ever oppose him, he eventually turned his attention to two major party members, Liu Shaoqi and Deng Xiaoping. Shaoqi was the president of the People's Republic of China, and Xiaoping was a strong and prominent figure within the party without ever holding a specific role. Mao believed that these two men were going to threaten his position in the government. Shaoqi was put through struggle sessions, or in other words, he had to criticize himself so severely that he eventually confessed to a crime that he did or did not do. He was then imprisoned and died in 1973, a mere skeleton. Xiaoping had a different future, as he was sent to a corrective labor camp that was meant to force him to acknowledge and learn from his crimes by putting him in extremely harsh conditions. Mao also created a system like Stalin's gulags or Hitler's concentration camps called the Laogai. The literal translation of this term is re-education through labor, and these camps were built in the harshest parts of China where the prisoners were becoming slaves for the Chinese state.
We see here Mao Zedong was a ruthless individual who harassed and punished those who did not identify with his ideology. Mao actually modeled his camps off the gulags created by Stalin as a way to punish and reform criminals that would be useful for the state by making them slaves. Oh, not good. Over the years, these camps were not prisons to Mao, but outlets of economic production and education. And probably the worst part of this system is that it began in the 1950s and is still being used today by the Chinese government to deal with threats to the party and the state, which violates international laws, and it's just wrong.
What are you doing?
I'm practicing the ancient art of vocal colon art. Don't bother me! Sparky is my savior. Oh, yes, Sparky. Oh, yes, Sparky.
According to former Laogai prisoner Tong Li,
The worst incident occurred after I refused to work more than the 8-hour maximum day mandated by Chinese law. At that time, I was beaten by a group of inmates instructed by the police guards in the labor camp. I was not allowed to talk with other detainees in that labor camp. I had no access to newspapers, television, or radio. My food rations were minimal.
On average, about 10 million Chinese were held in Laogai camps every year, with 25 million deaths until 1976 with Mao's death, and at that time there were 1,000 camps. Mao Zedong used his methods of purging and elimination of opposition to eliminate all capitalist ideas from China so that he could create his perfect communist state. These purges were necessary for the Cultural Revolution according to Mao, because without them he would have a wealth of opposition from within the country. By eliminating any and all opposition to him, it made it easier for him to preserve his communist ideology and make China great again. Make China a communist state.